Hey there, Jim and Cindy here from OUTAPocket. As you can see, winter has come early to the northeast, but that's not going to stop us from doing a video today that we've been wanting to do for a long time.
That we've been wanting to do since it was a lot warmer outside.
That too.
Today, we're going to show you 101 upgrades, modifications, and add-ons that we've made to our Solis Pocket in the 2 years that we've owned it.
Remember when I suggested this video and that we could cover 101 upgrades and you thought that was crazy?
Yeah, that was crazy. Yeah.
But not only do we have 101, we actually trimmed a few from the list to get to 101. And of course, we're not done yet, but those will be for future videos.
So this is kind of a buyer's guide for people who have Solis Pockets around the holidays or for those who love them.
So check the description of the video. I'll have a file, a link, some information there so that you can check out and see the products that we cover that we've used on our van.
And as an added bonus, we're going to be giving our ratings for the some of the more prominent of the upgrades that we put into place. We don't know what the other person rates it as, so that could be a little bit of a surprise.
We're going to rate it if they were worth it or not.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Highly subjective, we get it. It's in our opinion,
yeah, but it should be fun.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot to cover, so let's get to it.
Yeah. The roof rack and ladder are foundational elements for any upgrades that you're going to want for your van. We use the Flatline Van Company roof rack and ladder, FVC, and this allows us to put all kinds of really great things up on top. This roof, the ladder lets us get up on top, and particularly in New England, right? Clear off all the snow. It's obviously very sturdy, steady, and doesn't stick out. So, were these 2 upgrades worth it? Yes.
Next upgrade is the Fiamma awning. We have the Fiamma F45S, which is a very nice awning, and 2 modifications. So the awning was an upgrade. The first modification I had to make was I had to cut off the end of this little hook because when you operate the awning, the original hook was too big and it would come down and scrape the top of the van. So I cut that off, filed it down to make it nice and smooth again. And the second awning mod was to put the mounting under the bed in the Solis Pocket. This is a long thing, it's pretty awkward, there isn't a good place to store it. So we put these brackets under here so we can store it under the bed. So it's a great awning. The only thing about it, and I'll be curious to see how this one was rated, was we haven't used it as much as we thought we would. It's one of those things like, when you need an awning, it's great to have, but do you really use it as much as you thought? Let's see. Cindy says 3. I say 4. So it was worth it, but yeah, we don't use it as much as we thought.
Next up is the Luverne driver's side step, which is fabulous for those of us who are perhaps not as tall. See? And I can get right in. We had to put this one on ourselves. And how did we rate it? We both rated it 5. This was worth it. I'd kneel, but there's too much snow. The lug nut covers, we got black ones for the Pocket, and they look so much nicer than the original silver. And of course, we have to dress up the receiver hitch.
Moving on to the ProMaster interior, the next upgrade are the imitation leather seat covers. These provide a nicer surface. They definitely kind of brighten up the front of the van compared to the black seats, and they do definitely protect the stock seats. As far as ratings, Cindy says 5. I say 4.
Hey.
I kind of wish they were real leather, but
I love them.
The next upgrade for the cabin are the Inhabit Design Works front cabin mat set. You can see the original material is this rubbery, plasticky. This covers that, makes it look real nice, brightens up the cabin, certainly a lot more comfortable for your feet. So we made this upgrade. I would rate it a 5. Cindy says 5. As far as mods, a mod I made to this rug set was these nice pieces that go on the step area that come with the mat set. I cut this mat up I got from Lowe's in the winter. I put this here so I don't get the salt and mud on the nice ones that came with these. There were extra snaps, so I used them and put them on this instead. For the passenger area, to keep all the grime and muck in the winter off the mats, we got these WeatherTech mats made for the ProMaster. Does go right in there. Works pretty well. I'll say the one thing I don't like is they do tend to float around a little bit. They make ones now that are all one piece. I think if I were to do the upgrade again, I'd go one piece. Let's see what Cindy thinks. 4 for Cindy, 3 for me.
And continuing with the theme of brightening up the cabin, we got the Inhabit accessory kit, which gave us little inserts for various areas inside the main cabin, which doesn't serve any purpose other than we just think it looks great. Sometimes you don't want the door to open all the way. Sometimes you just want it to be part of the way opened. With a doorstop that we put in, we can open up the door just that much. And what did we think? It was worth it. And recognizing that the inside door handle's a little small to get a lot of momentum going on this heavy door, a bigger door handle that we can use to close the door. And we both figured it was worth it. Moving on to the main pocket cabin, one of our upgrades uses a simple shower curtain liner. Put a quick hem at the bottom about 4 inches off, and the grommets line up to these screws where we added some hooks. And voila! We have a privacy screen without having to use those front panels. And surprisingly, we found that it also helps to maintain the heat or cold, which is in the main cabin.
The next upgrade we're going to talk about is the Inhabit Design Works mat set for the main part of the pocket. You can order just the cab one or with or without this one. They're separate, so we wanted to cover that and rate that separately. Again, this does make the cabin just really nice to walk around in compared to that floor that comes with the pocket standard. Cindy rates this a 5, and so do I. So these mats are really durable and provide nice insulation, but we really don't like to get them that dirty, so we actually also have a mat for the mat. We have a big mat for the mat for winter, so all the melty snow, slush, all that, you can really wipe off your feet. And then we have a small one that we use in the summer like that. And that keeps the dirt off the mat, so it's a mat for the mat. The next upgrade we wanted to cover is the mat that goes in the rear cargo area. You can buy all 3 of these separately. They kind of serve different purposes. We wanted to cover and rate this separately. I mean, I think this is very well done. It's a nice mat if you're just carrying luggage around, stuff like that. Good. The biggest limitation we found is that we can't use these connector rails for bike holders and stuff like that. So although it's nice, for me, I'm a 2. Cindy is a 4. In the mod department, my solution for the limitations for the other mat was actually to build my own. I tend to use this most of the year round. So this was a Lowe's doormat that I got. I cut it. I allowed for these things to still be visible, and that allows these fork holders and other accessories to bolt on here, and you can still have a mat to collect all the dirt and other problems.
In our opinion, covers for the cushions are a really important thing to have. And yes, on one occasion, beer has been spilled. So these are new ones to us. They're stretchy, they're supposed to be water resistant. I'm not loving how you can still see some of the dirt here and there, but we'll see how they go. Let's see what our ratings are. How did we feel? Was it worth it? Jim is a 4 and I'm a 3. I'm a 3 because I'm not sure about the product, but I'm a 5 for having covers for the cushions. And another fitted thing that I really do like are fitted top sheets for the bed. As anybody knows who's ever had a bunk bed or an RV bed, it's really hard to make. And these keep the sheets in place all night. They don't ride out, and it's easier to make. Is it worth it? Jim said 5, and so did I. So yes, these Hydroscape stickers are a great way to personalize the van. We've used ones from different parks, national parks that we've been to, and they look great. The next 2 upgrades turn this area from individual workspaces into one big countertop. We have from Inhabit, they have a cover custom designed, custom made for the pocket for going over the stovetop, and we have an over the sink cutting board. So what used to be 2 different surfaces is now one big counter that we use way more than we use the individual things.
The next interior upgrade is the Van Essentials Max Air vent cover. Here's the Max Air vent. It can be a little noisy when you travel down the road, probably also insulation-wise. Both those problems are fixed by this cover. I say 5, Cindy says 5. This one's worth it. Simple but necessary upgrade is a little magnetic mirror, so you can actually see what you look like before you leave the van in the morning. We stuck these things on here, so it just sticks right there. This is a brand new upgrade for this winter. We haven't really had a chance to try it out yet, but I can feel it heating up right now. This is a heated format that's a perfect size to fit right in this galley. We found it on Amazon in this particular perfect size for the van. The major downside is the controls are completely in Chinese, and it's kind of hard to figure out what to do, but just by hitting buttons, trial and error, we get it working. Our heater is plugged into one of the other upgrades we made to the van, which is this outlet with a green LED light on it. This is a 120 volt outlet. The original one went bad. I replaced it, and I love having the green light. I can always tell just looking around if we have 120 volts on in the van. Next upgrade is our indoor-outdoor thermometer. Very useful when you wake up in the morning. You want to know how cold it is out before you step outside so you can get dressed appropriately. This has the indoor and outdoor section. It's currently 39 degrees while we're filming this video inside the van. This gets clipped on the Winnebago side step on the little hook on the end of it. One thing that's a real pain in the Solis Pocket is there are no lights in this whole cargo area. If you have the bed down, you can't see a thing. So got some stick-on USB lights put in here. Allow us to see when we have to work, do something back here.
We really like having, for safety purposes, this Rexing dash cam. It's great for a van experience. It's got a front camera as well as two side cameras to really capture all the action as you're going down the road in case something happens. And it's really great for footage for home movies. We found having a white noisemaker to be really handy because some of the places we go can get a little noisy. This one by Magic Team is very compact, works wonderfully. It has a USB-C end and another end for regular USB. Jim hardwired it right into the USB port right in here, so the white noisemaker stays right by us and works great.
We installed Starlink Mini on the roof rack of the van. The power for it comes through this roof access port, which is part of the Solis Pocket, into this switch. So when we want internet access, just turn that on. We've used this boondocking, we've used it driving, we've streamed music through it, even movies through it. It works really well, and it's really critical to have when you're on the road. Our ratings, 5 and a 5. The next two add-ons to the van are really our mainstay of what we use to cook in the van. First is the air fryer. This obviously we can use this to cook things. It's also our substitute for a microwave if you have to reheat like a breakfast sandwich or something like that. And the electric teapot. This is what we use to heat water for coffee in the morning or really for anything else that needs some quick hot water. We never really use the stovetop.
I'm all bundled up here because of our cold day, but I'm going to talk about air conditioners now. We replaced our 120 volt air conditioner with the Velite 12 volt air conditioner, the Velite Mini. And it was a job, but it allows us to be able to have air conditioning even when we're not plugged in, which for us when we're boondocking is a game changer. Let's find out what we think. Was it worth it? I think it was. That's 5 stars. And it's unanimous. It was totally worth it.
The next appliance upgrade we made to the van is the Silvox RV TV. This is a fold-down TV, so it tucks in there. I did put in a Velcro strap to help kind of keep it from popping down if you're on a bumpy road. We use this TV if we go somewhere to see sights or watch YouTube videos, places we want to go. Obviously also for entertainment. It's been fun. Was it worth it? We both agree this upgrade was worth it.
We replaced our Thetford cassette toilet with the Trolino composting toilet because 1, it's easy, 2, there are no chemicals, and 3, the size is perfect for us. The space that the Thetford takes up, we use for something else. Stay tuned. This easily goes into a back compartment. So, is it worth it? I say 5, and Jim says 5. Yes, it was worth it.
When it comes to organization, we're going to start in the back of the van, and the first thing to talk about are the rear storage panels by Van Essentials. These are actually useful to hold shoes, climbing shoes, running shoes. If you have big shoes, you might have to go one-on-one. And then here, zipper compartments, whatever. These have been nice to have because otherwise the space on the doors really isn't that useful. I say, is it worth it? 4. Looking at the upper Van Essential panels, I've got to be honest, at first, I thought they were kind of useless as an upgrade because the pouches are like so small. But then we did another add-on, which are these hooks that we found that go here and here, and they hook right into these upper panels. And these turn out to be really useful to hang a bunch of stuff to, primarily helmets, shirts, things like this. And these hooks also go on these rear bars, so you can have a whole drying rack across the back of the van when you need it. So the upper panels are an upgrade, these hooks are an add-on. Then the last add-on I want to talk about here is a little backpack. What I find when I'm away in the van somewhere, staying overnight, somebody's like, oh, come on over to this house we rented. You get a packet full of beer, a sweater, whatever else you might need. You need like a little backpack to take around away from the van. So that is another add-on. All of these kind of depend on those upper panels. So from my perspective, are the upper panels worth it in the end? I say 4. Cindy says 1. Cindy doesn't like the upper panels. Bummer for the upper panels, but you can make your own decision on that one.
Now this is an organizer I can get 100% behind. This is a Carhartt back of the seat organizer, and we put all kinds of things in it that we need maybe when we're running out the door, like, you know, bear spray. Let's see how we both thought about this. Ha, 2 5s. And because you always need someplace to put your trash, we found this little soft-sided one that we got off of Amazon to be the perfect size for behind the seat. And we just line it with a grocery bag if they're available in your state, and off we go. These little hooks are great for organizing. They stay up or fold down depending on where you need them. They stick anywhere. We have a couple by the bed. We got something over here. We even have a couple inside the cubbies. You never know when you need to hang something up.
Although we can store some shoes in the organizers in the back, we found that we need a nice place to kind of collect the shoes that you wear going in and out of the van. So we got this fabric basket. Here I have some insulated biking shoes, flip-flops, sandals, whatever you just throw in here. Tuck it in there. It keeps the dirt kind of inside this bag. If you run the heater, you just have to remember to take it out. So that's been a useful add-on. These mesh panels we added onto the van. These are pretty strong. Like we've had 4 or 5 apples stored in here. You can stuff whatever, hats, gloves, anything that you need underneath this cabinet, which is otherwise space that just isn't used very much. So that was a good add-on. And then the other add-on here to the van, we found these baskets at Target. They're actually the perfect size to fit in this cabinet. We'll put the exact name of them on the video description with the other products, but this was just a great fit for this particular size cabinet or these baskets from Target.
Because everybody's heard over a loudspeaker, caution, because contents may have shifted during travel. The refrigerator also needs to have some organization. We have 2 upgrades in here. One of which is this can organizer we got off of Amazon. It's easy, things come right out. And at the bottom, because we found that things that were put on the bottom would literally shoot out every time we opened up the refrigerator, Jim put a little piece of weather stripping there, and it has done the trick. Everything stays inside on that side of the line.
From an organization perspective, the visors that come in the van actually don't provide much help. We added a mirror to this one, just a stick-on mirror. You know, most cars do have a mirror on this side. This side, we added a mirror with some organizing things, a pen, a place to put your toll ticket, whatever else you might have when you're on the road. We built this gear wall out of these mole panels, which we strapped under the bed. This takes advantage of what's otherwise a space that really isn't utilized very much. At first I thought we'd only use it when the bed was up, and it's most useful this way. But I found even with the bed down, you can hook backpacks and other things onto these carabiners and things that hang down underneath so that they're suspended under the bed. Was it worth it? Cindy says a 5. I say a 4. It could be more perfect and more sturdy, but it does the job.
Are we done yet?
Not quite. We just crossed the 50 mark a couple upgrades ago. I know, 101's a lot.
The all-top recovery boards are an important part of safety and security for us. We have, as you know, got stuck if you watched our Eclipse video. And these recovery boards will help us to get out if that happens again. They were a great balance between price, size, and functionality for us.
If you live in the Northeast like we do, you need to have some sort of scraper and snow rake. This is a foldable one. It breaks down for storage. When you assemble it, you have a nice long handle. You could get the ice off the big windshield, and you also have a snow rake so that you can climb up the ladder and scrape the snow off the roof so it doesn't freeze, fall off, and hurt anybody. Two more useful add-ons for the van. The first is a cable lock. We keep the key to this right in that seat back organizer. We use this if necessary to secure the generator. It also serves to lock the bikes onto the back of the bike rack, which we'll cover later. So that's a good add-on. Next one is a propane leak detector. There are a bunch of stories out there of people having the propane in these vans leak and them getting actually physically ill. So you can use this to check if you have a propane leak with the tank or inside the van.
In the interest of security, we got 3 of these Rio Link security cameras with the magnets so that we can position them wherever we would like on the van. These are great because you can monitor the feed from your phone, and with the Starlink, whether we're in the van, sleeping, wondering what's going on, or somewhere else having a pizza, we always know what's going on with the van. You can put them wherever you care to because the handy dandy little magnet positions them anywhere. Some people go for the all-weather tires, but we went straight for our tire upgrade to the winter tires because we live in a very snowy area. And I mean, look, we have ice already on the ground. We've never regretted having a toothier set of tires for that upgrade. We also, because you never know, recently put in a spare tire underneath the pocket, which doesn't come with one. And if you can see right through there, you can see where you crank the tire down if you need to have a spare tire, a little peace of mind.
I hope we don't get a flat, but if we do, there are a few things we wanted to have on hand that don't come with the Pocket. The Pocket comes with the standard jack kit, but we got this extendable arm to break the lug nut bolts, so you have a lot more leverage. This is the Gorilla Power Wrench. We also got these posts that go in to basically the brake drum to hold the tire. When you put the new one up there, you can set it on these while you put in some of the lug nuts. And finally, we recommend that you get a good tire pressure gauge. The van is really sensitive to the tire pressure in the tires, so sometimes the ones at gas stations are not very accurate. So you want to test that tire pressure yourself to make sure that it's within the specs of the van.
Don't you hate it when you have to get up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, to go get some blanket or something, and it's dark and you have to turn on the lights and you don't want to? Well, look what we found. Motion sensing lights. And now for the supplemental power. When you're away from shore power, it's highly likely you're going to want your 120 volt. And a generator is a great option. In our case, we went with the Westinghouse dual fuel generator, which allows us to use either gas or propane whenever we want. Then there's also, we decided to spring for a shorter power cable to connect the generator to the Pocket because, frankly, the 50 feet cable that comes with the Pocket is a bit excessive. We have a splitter so that if we do opt to use the propane for the generator, we can also still use propane inside the Pocket at the same time. And it's always a good idea to have a surge protector if you're going to be at a campground to protect from surges. And finally, we have an adapter that allows us to plug into just regular old power when we're parked inside of our garage at the house.
You can, of course, power the van from the generator or from shore power. One of the most exciting upgrades that we've done to our van is to put in this EcoFlow system inside the van. These are lithium batteries. They allow us to have 120 volts even when we're off-grid, and with the EcoFlow Delta Max battery and the supplemental EcoFlow Max extra battery, we have an additional 4,096 watt hours of power available to us. The biggest challenge with a battery system like this is how do you recharge it? Even with the extra solar we've put on the van, it's hard to recharge these batteries in a short period of time. So we also added a third upgrade in this cabinet, which is the EcoFlow alternator charger. This is wired into the coach batteries, so when the engine's running and the alternator is supplying power, we can tap off that and recharge these batteries from the alternator in addition to the solar system. Was the EcoFlow battery system upgrade worth it? I say 5. You say 5. It was definitely worth it. To have 120 volts and to be able to draw on that extra capacity really is awesome. How about with the alternator charger? You can see I have a different rating. Yeah, I'm a 4. Nope. You're a 5.
Totally love it.
I'm only a 4 because this thing's a little glitchy. Maybe there was a different setup, because sometimes you have to like come in and reset the thing if you're on a trip, and there's no reason why, but that's the only reason I give it a 4. Under here, we have 2 more upgrades. The first is this automatic transfer switch. This allows us to power all the outlets, 120 volt outlets in the van, from those EcoFlow batteries or from shore power, depending on which one we're plugged into. This automatically switches back and forth. The other thing we were able to do because of this transfer switch is we piggybacked a battery tender. We found that the starter battery on this van tends to go dead pretty quickly if you're not using the van. So we wired in this battery, this lightweight trickle charger, so whenever we're plugged into shore power, the transfer switch picks up that shore power, feeds the battery charger, and keeps our starter battery topped off. If you don't have a transfer switch, you could also plug it into one of these outlets, which is live when you're on shore power, and that would be another way to hook up a battery charger to keep the starter battery fully powered when you're not using the van. Let's rate the transfer switch. Do you think the transfer switch upgrade was worth it? I say absolutely. You say absolutely, 2 5s, perfect. What about rating the battery tender? Do you need a different rating?
Nope.
Nope, I'm also a 5. Having that battery tender, keep the starter battery charged. You come out to the van after a few weeks, it always starts right up. It's a great upgrade. In the circuit breaker panel, we did take out the breaker that powered the old 120 volt air conditioner. We don't need a 120 volt breaker with our 12 volt air conditioner. But the other change we made in here was we moved the 12 volt converter to its own circuit breaker. The 12 volt converter is what charges the house batteries when you're plugged into shore power. If we're powering 120 volts off our EcoFlow batteries, we don't need to recharge the house batteries at the same time. So because this is now on its own circuit, we can flip that off and not waste power. You can power the van with a generator or on shore power, but if you don't have access to that, you rely on solar or driving. In the case of solar, we've made 2 upgrades and add-ons for the van that help us get more out of the sun. The first is an add-on solar panel. This can be unfolded if you're parked somewhere that has good sun. You lay it out, and it helps to support recharging your battery faster. This van comes with a port right here that you can use to connect the panel. Just make sure you know the polarity. We found we needed to reverse the polarity to use this external panel with this fan.
To increase your recharging ability, you can also opt for, and we have, getting additional external solar panels. These are ZAMP solar panels that we've attached to the top of the van. And between these panels and the external solar panel, we have over 300 watts of additional charging power. I don't know who thought it was a good idea to have this thing light up as soon as the sun hits the solar panels, but it does. First thing in the morning. And it is so bright, it's like a Christmas tree. So a quick trip to the hardware store later, got a faceplate, we got to put some metal on the back, a little bit of tape, some magnets up on top, and before we go to bed, that's sealed up and I can sleep through dawn. This is the silliest thing, but we're going to cover it anyway because it's actually saved us a number of times. We do hear about people who forget to unplug the van from the house and they drive away towing their house. So we bought this very simple little thing in a hardware store, and as soon as we plug in at the house, that goes around the stick shift. We're not driving away without unplugging.
As far as van upgrades and modifications, there is one you all should know about, and that is the insulation in these vans. When we put these storage panels in, we opened up these doors, the insulation was very weak in there. We filled it all in when we went to replace the air conditioner. Same thing in that upper wall on the side of the van, there was very little insulation. Some people pull the panels off the whole van and pack them with insulation, including the driver doors and passenger door. You can take that as far as you go, but anytime you do open it up, you should pack it full of insulation.
One quick and easy thing that's going to make sleeping a lot more comfortable are these stick-on levels. That way you can make sure that the van is level and you're not sleeping uphill or downhill like you're in a cave. We keep our handy dandy foldable shovel in the Solis Pocket bag that they give us because you never know when you might have to shovel dirt under a slipping tire or need to dig a hole in the woods somewhere. I'll leave that up to your imagination. And we have a tarp. The tarp actually is a cool way to indicate that a particular campsite is yours if you have to drive away. You're at the campsite, throw the tarp out. It doesn't cost that much if it goes wandering, somebody goes and picks it up. but it lets other people know that the campsite is occupied by you.
Another upgrade we made to the van was to replace the big cap that comes, this is the gray water drain pipe. It comes with a big 3-inch cap on it that you have to unscrew, and sometimes it's really hard to take off. So we replaced that cap with this that allows for a hose connection. So this is another add-on now, but we can use this setup instead of that big long slinky that you see that RVs have to drain the gray water or black water. Another add-on you need for the van is this winterized blowout adapter. This is used to go into the freshwater intake here, and you can use compressed air to blow all the water out of the system before it gets really cold in the winter like it is now. Another modification we had to make to the van are to put these wraps around the holding of this pole. This pole crosses here to put up a curtain or drying rack. We had to put these ties on each side because these things come flying out and bang all over the place. These clips just aren't tight enough.
Changing the oil on the Pocket is really very easy to do, which is wonderful. If you're on the road, you can change it as you go along. We have a couple of upgrades that make it even better. One of them is a metal cap right in there. Not only is it stylish, but having a metal part is going to endure longer than a plastic part. And the second thing is, right under there, we replaced the drain valve with one that's got a lever. So when you need to empty your oil, turn the lever and it all flows out and your hands stay clean.
When it comes to outdoor venturing in the Pocket, we do a lot of mountain biking. We've had several bike racks over the years, but the one we like to use with the Pocket most is the OUTAPocket Double D. That's the model we have here. A few of the reasons I really like this are it's spaced out far enough from the van that the handlebars won't hit when you're driving around. When you raise up for travel, there's plenty of space. It can't bounce against the back of the van. And when you take it all the way down, it goes low enough that the doors swing right over the top. This OUTAP bike rack is actually a great bike rack, but there were a few things that always bothered me when we travel. First of all, the license plate being hidden behind the bicycles. So I modified this using some parts that I cobbled together so we can put the license plate back here. I actually know of a person who was pulled over by the police because their license plate wasn't visible. And that's always kind of bothered me when we're on long trips with bikes on the back. The second modification I made to the rack was to put these lights on it. These are used like for the back of like truck tailgates and things like this. They're hooked up through the trailer light assembly. So they provide the tail lights, the brake lights, the backup lights, and even, as you can see, the license plate light. So with these modifications, there's no problem with people seeing the lights of the van or the license plate or anything else when you're on a long trip traveling at night. After making these modifications to the bike rack, I feel a lot more comfortable using a bike cover when we travel to keep the bikes protected from the weather and other things. Nothing irritates me more than following a vehicle with a bike cover on and you literally can't see their brake lights at all. Well, with these changes, it's very safe to drive down the road. You have all the indicators that you need. And also at night, if you're parked somewhere, you just throw this cover on over the bike. So the bike cover is another good upgrade to have. So let's rate the bike rack, Cindy. Kind of obviously we've changed it with the bike cover all, but just the rack, was this bike rack a good upgrade? You say 5. I say 4. And the only reason I say 4 is because I wish these things were already built into it. Why did I have to make all those changes myself? The next upgrade in the bike rack area is the OUTAP bike rack hinge. This hinge goes in between the bike rack and the van so that you can swing the whole rack out like this. And the big advantage to having the hinge on there is you can get in and use the doors with the bike still on the rack, which you can't do without the hinge. The downside is we have found we had to put this reducer in to lower this hinge so it wouldn't hit the doors. This seems to be only an issue with the 2023 and newer vans. I know people with 2021 and 22, they can put this hinge right into the receiver and it doesn't hit. So just something to be aware of. Let's rate this one. Cindy says 4, I say 4, really because there's so many pieces and it makes it so long. Bike racks are great, but to be honest, in the winter, if it's just me, I prefer to store my fat bike inside the Pocket using these rails that come on the Pocket. And to do that, we use the Freedom Coast fork mounts. These fit right into these things. You can actually fit 2 mountain bikes in here, with 2 of these like this. It's a little tricky, but it works. You can really only fit 1 fat bike. But this is really great because it keeps all the weather, salt, and all the road stuff off the bike. Unfortunately, if you have a road or gravel bike and you try to mount it here, the handlebars, if they have the drop handlebars, hit the rear doors. So I had to build this thing that I put in here. When these aren't here, I put it in a little further like that, and I mount my road bike or gravel bike to that instead, so it's spaced back enough, it doesn't hit the door. So that's an add-on, custom add-on.
And no outdoor adventure is complete without a little relaxation at the end. For that, we have the Inhabit Design Works floor mat and this foldable side table. Both of these fold right up and are stored in the pizza oven over the front of the cab in the van. And this REI foldable chair, the FlexLight Camp Dreamer chair, which I can never remember the name of, folds right up and is easily stored in the back cubby.
When you're hanging out in the evening, we have found that this light on the van is actually really bright. So we turned that off, and we got this portable battery-powered magnetic light that we just put right on here, like this. You can put it down here. It's a much softer light, especially if it's really dark out. This also converts into a string light, so we can hang that underneath the awning.
We got this Rhino Rack ski holder to hold a couple of sets of skis, and the great part is they're held up on top, and they don't take up any space down inside the van. Was this add-on worth it? Let's see. 4 from me and a 4 from Jim. And I suspect it's because you have to keep this locked even when there's no skis in it, because sometimes it has a tendency to kind of fly open.
Cindy, that was 100 upgrades, mods, and add-ons. But we promised 101. So, time for the last one. And that are these 2 products. They come from the same company. One is called a snow strip, and one is called a sun strip. The snow strip is used, it's a magnetic, it hooks onto the van, allows you to lean your skis against it so you don't scratch anything, you don't have to set them on the ground. They also make one for bikes called a sun strip, also works with fishing rods or guns, I guess. Magnetic, goes on the van, you can put your handlebar right into it. You saw me going up and down the ladder, the bike didn't fall. Doesn't work with bar mitts, but that's a small weakness for what is overall a good product. How would you rate the strips, Cindy? 2 5s. We're leaving this video on a high note. All right, I'm exhausted and I'm actually getting pretty cold.
Yeah, well, we've done the majority of this video standing on ice, so.
I know. Winter came early to the northeast.
And as the sun is setting, we finally finished going over our 101 add-ons, upgrades, and modifications to our Solis Pocket.
I will say the only thing that was more work than making this video was doing all the upgrades.
Maybe.
Maybe. It was a big one, but hopefully it was of value to you, that you found some tidbits here, things you didn't think about, things you might want to do, products that you might like to use with your van to make it more fun and comfortable. So if you found some of these 101 upgrades useful, or if you have some other upgrades that we haven't done that you would recommend, any tidbits you have, please comment. It's really fun to see the dialogue there and get hear from your experiences as well.
And as always, if you find this video useful to you, please feel free to like and subscribe.
Till then, we will see you next time.
See you next time.